Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Katie Lou. Thank you very much for joining me. Just to advise, this video is going to be talking about addiction, so if you yourself are suffering from an addiction or you know anybody who is suffering from addiction, then this may help, this may trigger some things, but I will be as realistic and as supportive and as sensitive as I possibly can. So before we go any further, I just have one more thing I would like to say. My name is Katie Bedford and I am an addict. Hi. Yeah, as I've said, I'm an addict. Well, I am, but I'm a recovering addict. This video is very hard for me to film. This is probably the 9th or 10th time I've tried to film this video. It's a very sensitive subject. It's something that's affected a lot of my friends and family, and I know it's something that affects everybody worldwide. The thing that bothers me is that addiction is not spoken about enough. Therefore, I am wanting to become an advocate for opioid addiction. My addiction started when I was 16 years old, and in order for you to understand the next few videos that are going to be on my channel, I need to take you back to the very beginning of when it all started. So, when I was 16 years old, I was rushed into hospital. I was told that I had suspected appendicitis, and I was taken to theatre and came round and they said to me, "You've not got appendicitis, but we're going to put you on these painkillers because you're quite clearly in a lot of pain." So that was that. I was in and out of hospital for the next couple of years. I was very unwell, and because there was something wrong with me that nobody knew what it actually was, it got to the point where I was just given painkillers week after week after week. Eventually the hospital did turn around and say to me they wanted to send me for hypnotherapy because they believed that this pain that I was feeling was all in my head. I was very upset and disgusted by this, and I was heartbroken. By the time I was 19, I'd already had 5 surgeries to try and find out what this pain was, and all along the hospital thought it was something to do with my bowel. During this time I was put on morphine, I was put on tramadol, I was put on cocodamol, you name it, I was given it and I tried it. When you're a young person in pain, in chronic pain, and the only thing that you can do is hug a hot water bottle and take morphine patches, it's hard. I lost a lot of friends because they didn't understand why I couldn't go out or why I wasn't going to the parties and why I was at home all the time, why I was so weak, and it was basically because I was misdiagnosed for 6 years with an illness that I didn't have. When I was 19, I found out that my dad had cancer, and we were told everything was going to be fine. I became his full-time carer, and within 11 months my dad passed away. I was just 20 years old. It's very hard for me to speak about my dad because I've grieved, but I'm still grieving, and it upsets me to think that I don't remember some of the times that we had together due to the painkillers I was taking. Now, 5 of the most common side effects of painkillers are they give you this euphoric feeling as if you're sort of in an alternative world. You don't really feel with it, you feel very spaced out. You feel sick, it affects your memory, it affects you going to the toilet, and it affects your overall mood. So not only was I losing my dad and caring for him, I was going through depression, I was sort of numb to a lot of things, and over the time of taking these tablets, it has affected my memory. For example, I was 17 and me and my dad went to New York, and I don't really remember it because I was on so many painkillers at the time that it just fogged everything. it just hurts to think that them last couple of years that I had with my dad I don't really remember because of the painkillers. When I was 21, I basically went to my doctors on my hands and knees and said to them, look, I'm taking all these painkillers, I'm taking them every day by the book as you tell me to take them, take 2, 3 to 4 times a day depending on the severity of the pain, and they weren't doing anything. They weren't targeting the pain. I was becoming immune to them because I'd taken them for so long, and I built up a tolerance to them. And that's another thing, when you take a certain tablet for a long time, you do become sort of immune to them. They don't work as well as they should have done. I eventually saw this doctor who referred me to a gynecologist, and they said to me, right, we think you have something called endometriosis. If you are new to my channel, please go look in the description below. There is a link to some of my endometriosis videos to explain what it is a little bit more in further detail, and it will sort of help you to understand a bit more about this video. So I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I had surgery, I was sent home, and I was sent home with a box of Cocodamol. Now, recovery time after that sort of operation tends to be about 8 weeks. But I had a really low immune system because I had been on these tablets for so long. My sort of body wasn't fighting for itself. My immune system sort of just gave up. It was so reliant on these tablets that I'd get a cold, or if I got an infection, I'd be poorly with it for weeks. I couldn't just fight anything off like a normal person. I eventually did get better, but this pain was still there. A lot of it was caused due to internal scarring from the operation, and I was gripped by these painkillers. I got into the routine where I didn't feel like I could wake up without them or function without them. I couldn't go to work without them. I couldn't go see my friends without them. I couldn't literally get out of bed if I hadn't had these painkillers. But it was getting to the point where instead of taking 2 every couple of hours, I started taking 3 just to see if they'd help and see if my pain would get any less. Now, this may be hard for some people to understand, but when you are in chronic pain and the doctors really can't give you any more answers because you just had surgery for something that you've had for years but was misdiagnosed with something else, and you're just constantly told, take these painkillers, it'll help, take these painkillers, it'll help. You sort of think, right, well, that's a medical professional. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to agree to what they say because that's their job and my life's in their hands and they know better than I do. So I started taking these tablets more than I should have done, basically because my tolerance was so high to them. I got in a very toxic relationship, and it dawned on me that throughout all these things that had happened in my life, losing my dad, being in this toxic relationship, losing friendships, everything that I'd sort of gone through in the last couple of years, I couldn't control. But to me, I could control the tablets, when in reality, they already had a hold over me. It's really hard to think of the people that I've lost and the decisions that I made while on these painkillers because everything was clouded. I didn't care for anybody else's feelings. I put myself first and did what I wanted to do because that's how I was, that's how I felt, and my judgment on things wasn't so good. But to me, I had control of these tablets. That box was there, but nobody else was telling me how many I could take, how many I couldn't take, and I just continued to take these painkillers. Within this toxic relationship, I couldn't sleep. I was getting to the point where I was up all night, very upset, very distressed, and the easiest thing to do was then to take 3 tablets just to go to sleep. And this sent me on an even further downward spiral. Even when that relationship ended, I found myself then taking 3 in the morning, 3 when I got to work, 3 at about 11 o'clock, 3 at about 1 o'clock, 3 at 3 o'clock, and so on. It got to the point where I was on 24 cocodamol tablets a day. Now you have to think, in the UK our tablets are dispensed in 3,500 cocodamol. So that's 38 milligrams of codeine and 500 milligrams of paracetamol. In one dose I was taking 90 milligrams of codeine and 1,500 milligrams of paracetamol. Now, it's not the codeine that'd kill you, it's the paracetamol that affects your liver and your kidneys, and it can start rotting you from the inside out. And I didn't know any of this. I just thought, I can't function without these tablets. My life turned round when I met Robbie. I was in a very, very dark and lonely place, and my best friend was these tablets. And me and Robbie got together, and within a matter of months we were engaged. But I was hiding one massive secret from my friends and family, and that was that I was an addict. I'd go to work and take 3 painkillers on an empty stomach, knowing that I'd feel more of an effect and get the fuzzy feeling more if my stomach was empty. And then that would cause me to be sick, and that would give me an excuse to go home from work and lay in bed and take more painkillers. While in this time I was lying to everybody and just saying I wasn't well. Last year alone I was given 19 boxes of cocodamol from my GP, which is the equivalent of 1,900 cocodamol tablets. That's not including all the ones that I bought over the counter from supermarkets and chemists. I am very ashamed, and I don't need anybody to tell me that what I was doing was wrong, because I am fully aware. I would wait till Robbie fell asleep and climb over him in bed and go to my handbag and take 3 tablets. And sometimes I'd wake him up and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I just don't feel my stomach's hurting," when in reality I had no pain. The pain had gone. I was just so addicted to these tablets I couldn't get out of this rut that I was in. I'd wait till he got in the shower or went downstairs to make something to eat or make a cup of tea, or I'd go make a cup of tea making sure he had tablets in my pocket, and then I'd take 3 as soon as he was out of the room, and then give it an hour and be like, "Oh, I forgot to take my tablets." One of the hardest things for me was having to tell my mum and Robbie that I had an addiction. I was at work one day and me and Robbie were planning on going on holiday, and I opened my suitcase and threw these tablets in, and when I got to work I sat there and thought, the first thing that I've packed out of everything that you take on holiday with you like a normal girl would pack, hairbrush, bikinis, I chose painkillers. So I rung my GP surgery and said, "Look, I think I've got a problem. Well, I know I've got a problem." And their response was, "We can't do anything for you because we don't have anything like that set up. So you need to ring the helpline called Frank." So Frank in the UK is an addiction support helpline. So you can basically ring up for somebody or one of your loved ones or yourself and say, "I have an addiction." But their main addictions that they help are marijuana, heroin, cocaine, spice. They don't really have anything for opioid addictions. But what people don't realise is when you take an opioid tablet, codeine for example, codeine turns into morphine in your body, and morphine is a strain of heroin. Unfortunately Frank couldn't do anything for me either, and I was sort of lost. And we went on holiday and I did the stupid thing of thinking, right, I'll just take 20 tablets to last me 2 weeks, whereas 20 tablets usually lasted me a day. And I must admit I really struggled, and when I came home it was back to 24 a day, every day, taking them like they were sweets, just taking. And I received a phone call from a company in West Yorkshire called the Bridge Project, and this lovely lady rang me and said, we've been passed your details. And to this day I still don't know who passed the details on, but they did, and thank you. And she said, we've been advised that you're battling an addiction to painkillers. Now, we don't really have anybody who usually deals with this, but there's two options. You can either book into a rehab facility that will cost you £2,500, you'll be in there for a week and then you'll come out cold turkey, or you can meet with one of our members of our team and we will help you through rehab. So, right, okay. Didn't have £2,500. This wasn't an addiction that I went out and sought for myself. This was an involuntary addiction that happened due to the NHS prescribing me painkillers, and yes, I admit and I take the responsibility myself that I did take them painkillers and I did request more of them. But still, I wasn't willing to pay £2,500 because in my mind you can't possibly have an addiction for 10 years and be on 24 tablets a day and within a week come out clean. So I decided and opted to meet with one of the team. I had a couple of meetings at first, went through everything with this lady, and then she went on sick. And nothing really happened for a couple of months. By this time it was sort of August, September, and I was back to square one, taking 24 tablets a day, having time off work, lying to everybody. And I got a phone call from a gentleman called Michael from the Bridge Project, and no matter what I say will cover the respect and gratefulness I have for this man. Not only did I have to sit down and tell my mum and Robbie that I was an addict and that I was getting help, I also had to sit down and tell a complete stranger. And we started from the beginning. Why I started taking the tablets, when my addiction got worse, the situations that I'd been in, and when I found that my usage was getting worse and more, and basically everything about myself I told to this man. The good times, the bad times, and the memory loss. Silly things like driving down to London and every services that we stopped in I took 3 cocodamol. Not only was that dangerous, it was so irresponsible and foolish and just idiotic. And I would never ever forgive myself if we'd have got into an accident and something had happened, because it'd have been on my head. We came to the conclusion that if I got drugs tested at that stage, I would be classed as a full-blown heroin addict. Now, that's not something I'm proud of, and I'm very, very ashamed of it. But I've turned my life around. I will tell you now that addicts, secretive addicts, are probably the best liars in the world. I had a 10-year addiction and nobody knew about it. Yeah, my mum would say to me, you know, you've been taking these tablets a long time, you sort of need to stop taking them, but I know if you stop taking them you'll get poorly, so you need to sort of cut them down. But she didn't know that I was taking 24 a day. Robbie didn't know I was taking 24 a day. Nobody did. And I lied to everybody. But I was so good at covering it up that I eventually thought to myself, I'm not only cheating myself, I'm cheating everybody to think that this is Katie and what comes with Katie is painkillers, and that's not how I want it to be. Everybody at work knew my routine. I'd come into work, I'd sit down, I'd take my painkillers. What I did used to do is take 3 out of the packet, put 2 in the middle of my hand and hold 1 underneath my thumb, and then when I'd go to take them I'd drop the 3rd one down and take them like that so nobody knew I was taking 3. I was very secretive. I was going online every single week to my doctors and ordering a prescription because I knew full well that they wouldn't ring me to say why I needed them or even ask me to go into the clinic. That's why I could get my hands on 1,900 tablets last year. On the boxes of painkillers it says, do not take longer than required because it may cause addiction. Well, for somebody like me, I took that first tablet and I was addicted. That feeling that I once thought was amazing is not amazing. It sets you down such a long, dark, lonely road, and I don't want any sympathy from this video. This is purely to raise awareness. You may not realise you're doing it, but you are slowly killing your insides. Now, taking these painkillers at this time could affect me for the rest of my life, but I only realised this because of Michael. Within these sessions when I went to meet Michael, it was more like therapy, and it was amazing. He got me thinking about things that I'd forgotten about and not been able to think about in a long time, and we went through all the hard, crappy situations that I'd been in, and I don't feel sorry for myself because I just think, well, I went through them so nobody else had to. We came to the conclusion that I wasn't going to go cold turkey. Now, if you are addicted to painkillers and you are scared of coming off of them because you're scared you're going to have to go cold turkey, any person who is monitoring you and coaching you and helping you through your rehabilitation will not let you go cold turkey because it is dangerous. Now, for me, I started by taking one out of every dose that I took. So I'd get to work in the morning and take 2 and a vitamin. Therefore, in my mind, I was still taking 3 of some sort of tablet, but it was a placebo effect. I was taking 2 cocodamol and a vitamin, and that made my mind think that, right, you've taken 3 tablets. So every day I gradually broke it down to take 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And he said to me, you're on 24 a day. That's a hell of a lot of amount of painkillers in your system. You may get sick, you may get drowsy, you may get all these side effects, but believe me, it's worth it. And in the next video I'm going to talk about side effects and what it's like to go through rehab and the feelings that you get and the honesty about going through rehab. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I want to help you. So I started seeing Michael every single week, and when I went, it'd be, right, I took 2 out of this morning's dose, or right, I took 2 out of this afternoon's dose, to the point where it was like I took 2 out of every single dose and I stopped taking them in an afternoon. By November, early November last year, I'd cut down my dose quite a lot in just 4 or 5 weeks of seeing Michael, because I got this fire from within me that was like, you can do this. Now, a lot of my friends and family say to me that I am a very strong person, and yeah, I think I am, but I think that strong people always have a weakness. I'm very strong, I'm there for other people, I will love and support you if you love and support me, and I will listen to you and talk to you and guide you the best that I can, because for my years I have had a lot of experience in life, and it came to the point where I realised that I was so headstrong, but I had my downfalls, and my downfalls were painkillers. And I just thought to myself one day, you've got to do it. You can't keep doing this every single day. It can kill you. If you keep doing what you are doing, you are not going to end up getting married because you're going to be not here. And by the 17th of November last year, I was doing amazing. I went to see Michael and I told him that I had not taken any painkillers the day before, and so far that day. And it started off by putting a number 1 on, just like a little 1 on the calendar at work, and the day after it was number 2 and number 3 and so on. And the sessions with Michael slowly started to get further and further apart. Like, instead of seeing him every week, I'd see him every 2 weeks, then every 3 weeks. But my main goal when I first started talking to Michael was, I want to be painkiller free by the 1st of January 2019. And I was painkiller free by the 1st of December 2018. And it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. The cravings were hard. But it was worth it. I am now 10 months clean. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without my friends and family, and especially Michael. It's just a shame that I lost a lot of memories through these painkillers, and a lot of friendships through taking these painkillers. To me, opioids aren't just a tablet, they are the devil. I got rid of every single tablet in my house. My mum doesn't even have them in her house. If I find a packet, I get them, throw them down the toilet, because I used to stash them everywhere. I was so good at hiding it. I used to hide them in my handbag and just dispose of them when I went to the toilet. The packets, I mean. And nobody knew. Nobody knew. If it wasn't for mainly my mum and Robbie, after the rehab sessions, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And I still see Michael. I see him every 2 months now. We go, we have a catch up, we have a chat, and we have become such amazing friends. He is a lifesaver. And he's not just done this for me, he's done this for so many other people battling addictions. An addiction can creep upon you. An involuntary addiction is an addiction that you don't go out and chase. It's not like cocaine or marijuana. It's an addiction that was put upon you to take a painkiller, and it slowly grabbed a hold of you. Now, believe me, I never thought I'd be able to do this. I thought I was too weak. I never thought that I'd get to the stage where I'd be ever painkiller free, because that was my life. From being 16, that was my life. I was known as Katie with the tablets. Now, through seeing Michael and getting through this, I'm still getting through this, I have now come to the stage where I volunteer for the Bridge project, and I am setting up my own opioid get together for people like myself that have struggled with addiction or are struggling with addiction, to help other people. I was approached by the BBC a few weeks ago to do an interview with them, which will be on the news in September. I will let you know when it's definitely going out. But they wanted to speak to me because they'd never known of a woman of 27-year-old to battle a 10-year addiction to painkillers. And that's not something to be proud of, believe me, but I'm now helping people like me with the experience I've gone through, and there's people out there that are double, triple my age that are going through these addictions, and I'm going to be able to help them. I met with the BBC and they interviewed me about what it was like and how the NHS could do better, and as I said, I take responsibility myself, but when you can go online and order a box of 100 cocodamol tablets every 2 weeks, and the doctor just gives you the script like it's nothing, and you just take it, and you can go to the supermarket and buy cocodamol over the counter, it's wrong. We are 5 years behind the opioid epidemic in America, and it scares me to death to think that if we're 5 years behind, what the hell are we going to be like in another 5-10 years? People will go to Tesco and buy a box of cocodamol just because they've got a headache. not realising that when they take them painkillers, it's turning into heroin in your system. And yeah, people may not look like addicts, and people may put on a brave face, but they're the sort of addicts like myself that will tell you till they're blue in the face that they don't have a problem. I told people for years I didn't have a problem, when I knew I did. I am going to be helping so many people, and I hope that if you're watching this and you're going through a similar thing, that you listen to what I'm about to say. You are not alone. You are not going through this on your own. Yes, it will be hard to come off of them, and yes, I'll do more videos to tell you what it's like coming off of them, but you're not alone. Don't ever be afraid to tell somebody that you've got a problem, because there will be somebody out there willing to help you. I started on my journey of recovery to help myself, and I have ended up being on television and setting up a group to help other people overcome this addiction. There are telephone numbers and groups and people out there that are willing to help you. I am 280 days clean of cocodamol, and I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. I've just enrolled to university. I got to see my wedding day. I've got the love of my life. I've got an amazing friends and family group around me that are so supportive. I've got the support of the Bridge Project, and I've got the support of myself. Not every day is easy. Every day is different. Some days are good, some days are bad. Some days I have cravings, the majority of the days I don't, but I think about them every day. You can't get over it in 5 minutes. I'm still battling this now, but I'm better than I was, and I'm happier than I was, and I'm healthier than I was. I still work full time, but now I don't go hide and take painkillers. Now I've got clarity, and I can study university and help other people along the way in doing so. Please feel free to ask me any questions, anything at all. If you want to know the further details, or you yourself or somebody you know is going through a similar situation to any addiction, please comment down below and I will help you all that I can. As I said, I don't want sympathy. I don't want any hate or backlash from this. I'm just trying to help. My face is going to be on the telly, and some people are not going to understand why, and that's sort of why I did this video. About a month ago, the BBC also wrote an article on me, and if you go on their website or on their Facebook page, it says something like I was addicted to painkillers at 16, and that's me. I will link that article down below as well. And a lot of the information I've told you about is in that article, and it helped raise awareness for some people, but I do believe that when the news broadcast goes out, it's going to help even more people. You are not alone. You will get better, you will get help, and there is support out there for you. Thank you so much for watching.